Here we go. Friends and grasshoppers, this is the Formless Podcast, episode number 158, with Tyler, the superhuman, and me, Dustin.
158.
Yeah.
We're looking good.
So, I got this text message from Tyler this week. Failure and success are on the same road. It's just that failure is an earlier exit. And I thought, man, that is awesome. I couldn't have gotten it at a more perfect time, because it's been a hectic couple of months, planning seminars, works, like just the grind of work is like full swing. My wife's in the middle of finals. She's starting a new job Tuesday.
Ooh.
Like she's that ship is sailing, right? Like it's at full tilt, ready to rock and roll. And emotions are a little high.
Right.
They're really high. Things are just like right on the verge of collapsing into chaos, right? Like just in the red zone the whole time, right? And then I'm sitting down. We just ate dinner. I think this is the right scenario. We just ate dinner, getting ready to relax, watch a show, and my phone starts blowing up. And it just doesn't stop. And people are sending me, Instagram reels and TikTok videos, and then I get a text message. And it's Tyler. All right, I wonder what's going on. And then that quote, and I'm like, all right, let's go another day. We can make it another day. So
it came at the right opportune time. It came at
the right time. It was just like at a low point in the day. So it was like, all right, keep going. Where did you get that, by the way?
So I'm trying to remember that day. I don't know. It might have been a TikTok video. It might have been listening to a sermon on YouTube. I don't know I can't remember what it was, but I heard it.
Good.
Yeah.
It is good.
Failure and success are on the same road, but failure is just an earlier exit. And I was like, what? And I scrubbed the back and watched the video again. And I was like, that's good.
Yeah.
And I typed it out to you I was like, I got to send that to Dustin right now.
Perfect.
And texted it out and boom, and then sent it. And you responded almost immediately.
Well, it was so good that I was like, we're using that. We're going to put that to work. I got to see. Let's see. Hold on, I'm going back.
I think it wasn't it in the.
It was
the day?
Tuesday at 8:45
at night.
Yeah, last Tuesday.
So it was at night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was like, my bedtime's like 9:30, 10 o'clock tops, unless I'm waiting for the kids to come home or my wife to get home from school. I always try and have dinner ready for them, or at least make sure they get in the door, that kind of thing. Trying to be a good father and husband. I'm starting to think about bedtime around 9 o'clock. I'm like, that bed's going to be good. Make sure it's nice and cool in my room with it being 110. I want the air on. I want the fan on. And, I got your text message and I was like, oh, right on.
That's a good one to go to sleep and ponder and dream about.
Yes. The other thing that's super important is you got your guard schedule and you're going to be able to come to the seminar.
Yeah. That was a biggie. That for the last 2 months, we've been asking. My officer candidate school class has been asking for the National Guard officer candidate school schedule, for the training schedule for the rest of the year, and
they've been hemming and hawing about it.
Yeah, we were pushing it up, and I'm telling everybody, my friends for my hunting trip and for the seminar, and I'm just
I got plans, baby.
I can't commit. I don't know. I want to say, but that's my priority. That I have to make it through officer candidate school, and I have to make it to those training events, and because you can only miss 8 hours total.
Total.
Over 18 months, you can only miss 8 hours. And if you miss 4 hours, there's no making that up. Like it doesn't reset.
Or you got 4 hours left, baby.
You better be at that training. And so,
which, in hindsight, like in reality, that makes sense because it's important, right? Like this is a job. This is an important job and you've got to know your stuff. So you can't fault them for that.
No. So we finally got the schedule and I was like, okay. It's not the weekend of the seminar.
Yes. That's awesome. That is great news.
And I was able to tell my friends, cause I was like, all right, let's just start making plans. Cause we got drawn for a premium zone for deer hunting in California, X1.
Oh,
so we got drawn for X1, which is like northeast of here.
Yes.
Right. You got to go up I-5 by Mount Shasta.
Yeah. Yeah. Mount Eddy.
Yeah, I think around that area.
Yeah,
and
the wind is hellacious up there.
The what?
The wind.
Oh, really?
Is hellacious up there for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah. But
all right.
Awesome. Good.
The deer are going to smell me because the wind.
You just got to be face the wind, right?
Yeah. So, So there we go. So that was good. So that cleared it all up and we made plans and going hunting and
right on.
Going to the seminar.
Very cool, man. Very cool. That's so exciting. I mean, I understood. It wasn't like I was going to be all butthurt about it, but I was a little bummed. I was like, oh man, if he can't make it, we did all this work to get this going and make this thing happen. And then like, you can't be there. It would have sucked. So I'm super pumped for that. I can't wait. It's only 4 weeks away, man.
That's right.
Yeah. 4 freaking weeks. So
Randall's ready.
I got to talk to him today. I got to get his itinerary for his flight schedule to make sure somebody's there to pick him up, and bring him to the hotel and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll get that all taken care of this week and squared away and make sure we're all top notch. But man, I can't wait. And that brings me to the next thing. I wanted like the goal is to do this on the regular, right? Like we want to
seminars,
make this seminar like a thing, gathering, or an event. And in doing that, like I feel like it has to have a name.
It has to have a name.
It has to have
the seminars.
Something. Yeah. And so I've been toying with different ideas and nothing sounds good. So I'm actively on the hunt for a good, solid like name. And,
so it could be something with Wing Dao,
Yeah.
Find your way, come to the way, or something like that.
Come to the way. That would be cool.
Or like Wu Ying Mun, like the Formless Gate.
Yeah. And in talking about that with Randall, he sent me a text about there's a Japanese philosophy. Let's see if I can find it really quick here. Has to do with a gate, and no, that's not it. That's the problem with social media is like they're so spread out. Like message them on this, you message somebody on Instagram, it doesn't show up on Facebook.
Right,
you do it through text message. There's all these other things, and then of course we have literally hundreds and hundreds of messages back and forth to each other. I know where it's at. Hang tight. So, yeah, it's called a torii gate. Tori. It's the Japanese gateless gate.
Okay.
And a torii shrine, you've seen them before. If you've seen any type of Japanese architecture, you've seen it before.
I have.
It's the two, they're like usually a deep red or maroon color. There's two upright beams kind of leaning in towards each other at kind of an angle. And it has a cross beam across the top that's kind of curved upwards. And I found this really interesting. A torii is a traditional Japanese gate that marks the entrance to a sacred Shinto space. Shinto, Shinto. Most famous for its vermilion color and 2 vertical pillars and horizontal crossbeams. It's a sacred boundary. It acts as a transition line between everyday secular world and the spiritual realm of the Kama, spirits or deities. It's kind of like a religious significance. But the idea of like this whole gateless gate, and it's not like a physical boundary you cross, but more of like a mental or spiritual boundary. It was kind of interesting.
That is cool.
Yeah. So I don't know if I want to use something from that, but the philosophy or the idea is there. Cause like for me, for instance, like I look at any type of combat sport or combat in general as it's not all physical. There's a mental aspect to it. There's a psychological aspect to it. And I want to improve all 3 of those, not just the physical form, but the mental form and the psychological form as well. And I try and incorporate all of those when I'm teaching stuff. Like the Saturday classes, for instance, especially, it's usually around those 3 subjects. One or all of them. But yeah, I just was like, oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
That's rad.
So it's got to be come and enter the gate, or the tagline for like a seminar. Like, we need suggestions. Anybody want to email in anything?
Yeah, that would
message
be cool.
us.
That would be cool.
Open the gate.
I kind of dig that.
Open the gate.
Open the gate. Yeah, I dig that a lot. Well, like the Dog Brothers have the gatherings. Isn't that from like the Highlander movies? Wasn't that what they called
the gatherings?
Was it the gather? Or no, that was the quickening.
The quickening.
Yeah. Okay. I rewatched the first one.
I actually watched
Recently?
it for the first time, like
No
2 or 3 months
kidding.
ago. Yeah.
Oh,
it's
dude,
great.
It's not a bad movie. It's, it's 80s.
Right.
It's 80s.
It's cheeseball.
You got to definitely work to suspend the disbelief, the suspension of disbelief there. Or what is it?
Suspension of disbelief.
Yeah. You got to work on that. It's just a movie, but like if you immerse yourself in it, it's one of those.
It was fun.
Fun.
It's just a fun movie.
It is. And it's got some pretty good actors in it. And
the duels and like Sean Connery.
The bad guy. What's his name? I can't think of his name. Did he just pass away not too long ago?
I don't remember.
He plays a good
Clarence something.
Clarence. Yeah.
Is the actor
Brown?
Clarence? Yeah.
No, not Brown. Anyway, you can look it up. It's a good movie. It's fun. It's a fun movie.
It very much feels like, from a filmmaker's perspective, it just feels like a movie that it doesn't all match up like there's not a consistency in the language of that film, of like within like how it's filmed, with the lenses it uses, the lighting.
Okay.
But by that very definition of it not having like a language, like a movie will look like consistently look the same throughout it, whereas it's like they showed in like some scenes, like they're using an extremely wide angle lens in some scenes. And then in some scenes they've got this like really tight close up long lens, and the lighting just varies drastically. And it just feels like they're just like, well, we're just going to make this movie however we want. And it's not going to be, there's not going to be a lot of continuity in in the language of the film. But it works. It still works. It works very, very well.
Yeah.
And you can't, like 9 out of 10 movies like that are made like that would feel very inconsistent and just off to people. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't know how to put their finger on it. But just somehow the lighting, the acting, the soundtrack, like when that movie opens and it's like an 80s metal song right off the bat, you're like, whoa, okay, this is the kind of movie this is going to be.
Yeah. And then it's like the opening scene is they're like in Scotland, right? Or is that?
No, I think they're in an underground garage.
Oh,
there's
yeah,
something,
yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah,
like
yeah.
a duel
They
there.
have the duel there, but then
you're like, what's going on?
And then it cuts to the Scotland.
Yeah, like way back then.
Way back time. Like 1400s or something like that, or 1500s. I can't remember. But yeah, it's almost like they got like a dozen guys in a room and they're all writing and they're like, oh, we should have sword fights in it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like.
And we're going to have an 80s metal soundtrack and lightning, lots of lightning. Right? Like everybody's spitballing ideas and they're all like, oh, that's a good one.
We'll put that in.
They don't shit can any idea. It's like everything and the garbage truck involved.
Yeah. And it's a great film. Like it's like, I got done. I was like, okay, that was a fun movie.
It was fun.
And I can see why that whole franchise or that IP has a cult following.
Yeah.
And I watched the second one and I know there's a lot of controversy around the second.
I don't even recall the second one.
Yeah, the second one, and there's like
and then there was a TV series
there was
in the
the
early
TV
90s.
series.
Oh,
yeah. I remember that TV series. I've never watched it, but I remember seeing it on. And then but anyways, yeah. So how did we get on Highlander? The Quickening.
The Quickening. Oh, the
back
names,
to the name of the seminar.
So yeah, the Dog Brothers have the Gathering. The Gathering. Jocko's group, they do the Muster, which are cool. There's different ones. I've seen like the Tao of Jeet Kune Do. There's a traveling group that does a seminar based on teachings of Bruce Lee. There's all sorts of stuff like that. And I think we can come up with something kind of memorable, cool, short and sweet.
Enter the gate.
Yeah.
Enter your gate. Find the gate. Find your gate.
Yeah.
Open the gate. I like that one.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool. Might work with that. But it all it all kind of ties back to your quote. Right? Like we could give up tomorrow and quit. Or we can stay on that road just a little bit longer. And maybe success is right around the corner or right over the hill.
Right over the hill.
Have you seen the meme of the guys? There's two guys in a hole and they're digging. Right? It's a cartoon. It's like a pencil sketch or a pen sketch. And there's two guys digging, right? And you're seeing it from like a side profile. And they're digging down and across. And they're headed towards each other. And one guy is like all sweaty and he's like got his hand on his brow and he's like looks like he's ready to give up. And he's like mere centimeters from like this pot of gold. And the other guy is like feet away and he's just working like a machine going at it and he's digging, he's making progress, right? And the other guy's ready to give up. And like I think the caption is something like if you could only see what's on the other side, like you probably wouldn't give up.
Right. That's good.
Yeah. So it all ties into your quote.
Yeah, so when I was at Fort Benning last year doing some of the training and I was in like the pre Ranger School training and we were doing a lot of land nav. And so
for the layman in the room, me, explain land nav.
Land navigation.
Because I've heard this before.
So land nav is land navigation. So like as we do in the Army, they give you a compass, or you're supposed to buy your own compass, or they issue you one. In my case, I bought one. You get a compass. Then you have a protractor compass, which is like a clear plastic square piece or circle that then you need a map. And so you use the protractor compass and it's got like 360 degrees on it and you overlay it on the map and you're able to find your degrees direction on a map, like on a topographic map.
Okay.
So here's how it normally works. So if you're on a land navigation course in the Army, you have a starting point normally, and they give you the grid coordinates for your starting point. And then you're at the starting point. That's where you start. So you can look around, you can terrain associate. You can say, okay, on this map, I see there's like a big hill that looks to be 100 meters, north of me. And I can see it on the map and I can physically see it with my eyes.
Okay.
And then you're like, okay, here I'm at. But they give you these grid coordinates, and usually they're like 8-digit grid coordinates. You can do 6, you can do 8, you can do 10 digits. But they give you grid coordinates.
And are these longitude and latitude?
No, that's different.
Okay.
I don't even know anything about that. Barely. I'm still learning about longitude and latitude, but grid coordinates. And so like every area on a map, you get a map of like, say, a certain area. Well, they've got grid lines that divide each like kind of artificially divide a section of land into usually 1,000 square meters, so a kilometer.
Okay.
And so when you have that artificially divided up on a map, then when they give you grid coordinates, you can find the grid that you're in, and then you can find with an 8-digit grid, you can find, I think it's within 10 meters, you can find within a spot within 10 meters. Theoretically, you should be able to find something. And so they give you this is hard to explain just verbally, but they give you 5 or 6 or 7 points out in the land navigation course, and they say, here are the grid points. And so you have to go to the map, use your protractor compass, and you overlay that on your map. So you lay your map down, then you lay your clear protractor compass on, which has got all check marks and degrees and everything. And then you plot out where those grid coordinates are that they give you. And then from where you're at, you'll plot out 5 points, and you say, okay, well, this point's closer to me, and this is the furthest point from me. And you can plot your route of where you want to go. So do you want to go to the furthest point first, or do you want to go to the closest point first? Or do you say, oh, this point looks like it's in the middle of some really thick foliage. I'm going to go to that one first to try to find that one to give me a little bit more time. Or you might say, that one's going to be hard to find. I might just do that one last because I may waste an hour.
Oh, it's a time.
It's always time. It's always
so
time.
You have 6 hours or something.
It's usually 4 to 5 hours.
Oh, wow.
So in officer candidate school, when I was there in July, it was we had 6 points that you had to find in 4 hours. So you had 4 hours to find 6 points. You had to, and then you.
Are you with a group of people?
No,
or
you're by
on
yourself.
your own.
You're on your own.
So you have no one to bounce any of this off,
which is good. It's good because if you have when you team up and you have a team of 2 or 3, sometimes in practice you'll do that so you can learn. If somebody's struggling, they'll pair you up with somebody. But in a team, 2 people might have 2 different routes they want to go. And somebody says, "Well, I want to go to the furthest point first," and somebody else is like, "No, I want to go to the closest point first."
Yeah.
And so when you're on your own, you're on your own, and you really learn because you have no one else to bounce it off of. And so I love it. And so, so then you on the map, you measure out with your compass protractor, you measure out from where your known starting point. And then you know that there's another point out there that you found. And so you've got to, with your now compass, your magnetic compass, let me back it up. On your map, with your protractor compass, you find the grid degree. Like I said, on the protractor compass, it's usually a square. It's usually square. They have circle ones, but it's square, and it's got 360 degrees on that protractor compass. And so you put it down on the map, and you're able to say, okay, my point is at 89 degrees this way. And so, but then you got to calculate because of you're calculating from map to actual magnetic Earth. There's actually a calculation because it doesn't always line up 100%. And so depending on where you're at in the United States, you have what's called a declination that you have to account for, which is usually adding a certain amount of degrees or subtracting based on where you're at. In Fort Benning, Georgia, it was you had to add, I think, don't quote me on this. I think it was you had to add, but when you're on the West Coast, you have to subtract. So it's depending on where you're at in the world, and it's accounting for like the curvature of the Earth and the magnetism of the Earth and the magnetic north and all that. And so then you have to do a calculation. You get used to it, and then you get your magnetic compass and you shoot your 89 degrees and you say, okay, I've got to walk this way straight for 300 meters. And then that's the simple explanation. Because then what if you run into like a pond and you got to go around a pond? You can't just walk straight through the pond.
Yeah.
Right. Or if you got a big mountain in front of you, can you go straight over the mountain? Maybe not. How much time is it going to take?
It might take you the whole 4 hours to climb that mountain.
Exactly. So you got to then go around it, and then you got to find, then your pace count's all off. You don't know where you're at when you get around the other side of the hill.
Oh man.
So,
and now is there like a marker in the ground that they put?
Yeah. So when you eventually get to the point,
you're finding the markers.
There's like a specific number that corresponds with the grid coordinates they gave you. So they say, okay, at grid coordinates, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You get there and you see like a little marker that says this is DM 73, and you write that down, and it corresponds to those
grid coordinates.
Okay. And then they know, okay, he actually found the grid point. Yeah, it gets really fun. I used to despise land nav, absolutely despised it when I was in the first 10 years of the Army. I mean, there was times I liked it, but it was always
your first inclination when you're learning something new and struggling with it to hate it.
No.
Really?
I don't know. I guess it would have to depend.
My first inclination
is to hate it.
When I'm struggling with something is to complain about it.
Yeah.
Like, this sucks. I hate this. And then I'll struggle through it. But sorry, not to side. No.
But I need to back up and say, no, I didn't despise it. It was just like, it was really a struggle just because I didn't do it as much. I've done more land nav since I've got back in the National Guard in the last year than I ever did that I remember back in my first 10 years. Like, I have done so much more, and I've just gotten so mumuch more confident at it. Whereas I liked it in my first 10 years, but we just didn't do it enough to make it. It'd be like doing karate like once a year. And like, I haven't done karate.
I forgot all of the stuff that I learned last year.
Yeah, and then you do it for a day or two. Then at the end of those, you're like, okay, I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to like it. And then you don't do it for another year.
And you got to learn it all over again.
So, but needless to say, that's where I was going with that. One of the Rangers, when I was in pre-Ranger school, they were like, hey, if you shoot an azimuth at, say, 89 degrees, and you're just going to walk in a straight line.
What's an azimuth?
Shooting at, like, finding your degrees.
Oh,
like
okay.
Shooting an azimuth, like the direction you're going.
Okay.
So you hold up your compass and you say, okay, where's 89 degrees? And then you're like, okay, there's 89 degrees on my compass. And then it lines up with, like, say, a big tree. You're going to walk straight at that tree. Because as you're walking, it's hard to keep your compass pointed in the direction. At 89 degrees, it's just hard. So you say, I'm going to walk at that tree for 300 yards. And you get over there, and you're like, okay, with my pace count, I know at 100 yards, I take somewhere between 67 and 69 paces. Every time my left foot hits the ground, I count 1, right? So like I take a step with my left foot, I take a step with my right foot, I take a step with my left foot, and I say 1.
Okay.
And then I take a step with my right foot again, then a left foot, then I go 2.
Okay.
And so you go all the way up to, it's every other foot. You can count it on your right foot or your left foot. A lot of people say right foot. I don't know why. You can do either one. And they give you like 100-meter course that's measured out, and they say, okay, go count how many paces it takes you with your stride, the length of your legs, and how you walk to walk 100 paces. And that's essentially your measuring tool, your measuring tape, by finding your pace count for 100 meters.
Okay.
So then when you shoot, you're on the map and you do your calculations from where you're at to where you got to go. You use your compass protractor, and you can measure out how many meters from point A where you're at to your finishing point. And then you're like, okay, let's say it's 300 meters. So what's 300 meters time, so I'm essentially going 100 meters. So what's my pace count at 100 meters? Let's say 70. So it's 3 times 7.
Okay.
210. So I got to walk 210 paces at 89 degrees in a straight line. And so a lot of times what people do is, because the terrain is uneven, it's rarely flat. In some places it is. You go up and down. You might have to go around a tree or a bunch of blackberry bushes or something. You lose count of your pace count, right? Mm-hmm. Because then you're not walking in a straight line. Now you've got to go.
You got to curve around this bush or this tree or this canyon.
Or a pond or a canyon.
Yeah.
And so you lose your pace count, and then you don't know if you're on that original line you were walking. So that, I mean, that goes into like, now we're talking, that's going to take a couple of podcasts to talk about all that stuff. But so you eventually hopefully find your line where you're walking, and then you keep going, and people will count out, they'll get to a spot and they'll be like, okay, I just hit 210 paces. Where's the point? And you look around, and then they say, okay, you do the box method where you maybe you put like a rock on the ground. You're like, okay, this is where I stopped and I don't see the point. So now I'm going to walk out, and I'm going to walk in a box method, or I'm going to do like a cross method. I'm going to walk straight out 20 meters that way to my left, 20 meters, and then come back to my start to where my point is I landed, and then go out to the right. And you're making a cross to go see if you can find that point that you're looking for.
Okay. Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And but a lot of people will do that, and they won't find their point, and they'll be like, well, where's my point? And so it goes back to what I was saying. This ranger, they said, well, when you get to your spot, and if you haven't found your point and you're at like your pace count, he's like, go another 20 to 30%. He called it the 30% rule. He's like, go 30 more percent, go out, just stay on that line and go 30 more percent that way. And he's like, usually that's when some people find it.
Because you had to take away steps because you're going off the course.
Or the terrain is up and down.
You've added steps.
Yeah.
To it.
Yeah. So when you go up hills, right, you're going to get winded, and your pace count's going to get off a little bit, and you're going to take shorter, smaller steps, but people are still counting that. So now every 2 steps or every 2 paces are like 1 pace. Mm-hmm. Right? Because you're taking smaller pace.
Yes.
So it's your pace count gets off.
Or if you're going downhill, it's going to be probably greater.
It can be greater, yeah. Sometimes, depending on it, might be short as well because of how steep it is. You're taking smaller steps, or if it's at a lower, a less of a slope, then you might be taking bigger steps. Yeah. So it just depends. And so he's like, go 30 more percent.
Good rule of thumb.
It's the 30% rule, and they called it the 30% rule. And it was his name was Corporal Longley. Was his name, Corporal Longley, and great guy, taught us a lot about land nav, and we would go out and do land nav at night. And imagine doing all this at night when it's dark in the morning. Wow. Like you start at like 3 a.m. and they're like, oh yeah, you've got 4 hours to find.
So did they just drop you off at a random spot, or like they have a pre-calculated
starting
but
point.
They just drop you off and then they're like, okay, we'll come back to the end point in 4 hours?
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times your start point is not your end point, meaning you're going to start at point, you're going to have a starting point, and then you're going to go out and find all your points, and then your end point is
a separate place.
And so, and sometimes your end point is also a known grid too. A known
number.
A known grid point as well, with numbers, so you can find it.
Okay.
And so a lot of people will use that as a known point to find their points off that too.
Okay.
It's hard to describe, like you got to be doing it to understand it. But anyways, it all goes back to the 30% rule, that if you're where you think you're supposed to be, like push another 30%. And I found that to be true. I have absolutely found that to be true.
So you're like out there and you're going, okay, I remember this lesson. I'm going to go 30 more percent of my pace count.
30%.
And you found it?
Yeah. So when I was in July, like when I went to the phase 1 of officer candidate school, it was test day, and it was this course in South Dakota was like pretty much like no trees, very, very few trees, very flat.
So you're kind of thinking this might be a little easier.
Yeah. And the courses we practiced on were not like that, not flat.
Hills,
trees, everything else, like all over. And so the actual testing course was real flat. You could see for miles. Miles and miles and miles. And so, but they started us at night. I mean, we started, I want to say at like 4 a.m.
Okay, so it's still dark outside.
3 a.m. Yeah. So you have a red headlamp. You're not allowed to use white light. So like a white flashlight, you have a red headlamp. And so they give you the starting point, and you got to find all your starting points. Like you got to like essentially be on the ground. You can't stand it. Like you got to either lay in the prone and do it, like you're in a combat situation.
Oh yeah.
Or me, I'm sitting. And they're like, okay, sitting's okay. And so I've done enough in the prone. I know I can do it in the prone. I was like, I'm gonna sit. And so you've got a red headlamp, which that can mess with some of the stuff on the maps because red light will change. You might like on a map, like a road is like black, but a stream is blue under normal white light conditions.
Oh, okay.
But under a red headlamp,
it all looks black.
It all looks the same. A lot of it looks the same. And so you might be thinking, oh, there's a road there. Nope, that's a stream or a river. And so you got to be able to identify that stuff under a red light as well. And so anyways, I found my first point, and I was like, okay, boom, it's 700 meters this way. I shot my azimuth. I was like, okay, it's whatever the degrees were. And I was like, okay, I'm walking, I'm doing my pace count. So every 100 meters, I don't like when you get to a certain amount, you don't say like, oh, I'm going, 700 paces. You could do that. But a better way to do it is so my pace count is, let's just say 70 paces every 100 meters. So every 100 meters, you stop. Like every time I count out, okay, I'm at 68, 69, 70, boom, stop, pick up a rock and put the rock in your pocket. Then you walk another 100 yards and then you say,
meters.
100 meters. Thank you. And then you stop and you're like, okay, 68, 69, 70. You stop, you pick up another rock in your pocket. So then, every time you stop, you're like, wait, am I on 300 meters or 400 meters? You can feel in your pocket. Okay, I've got 2 rocks.
I'm 200 meters, I'm on my 300 meters.
Now I'm supposed to, I just hit 300 meters. I just hit another 100 meters, put another rock in my pocket.
Okay. It's to help you keep count so you're not counting.
It's the less things you have to keep in your mind, right? Because if you're walking and you trip and fall, bam, and you hit your head, you're going to be like, what was my pace count? Or twist an ankle a little bit. So it's everything to take off your memory, to help you remember, but you don't have to keep it in your head. Or you can just write down every 100 meters. Like on my map, what I would do sometimes, like I'd either pick up a rock, or you have ranger beads, which those are awesome, but somehow mine broke and fell off. I don't know where I lost them. They broke. You're right. So you either put a rock in your pocket, or you just put a tick mark on your map. Like, I went, okay, that's 100 meters. Oh, no, 100, another 100 meters.
Okay.
So rock, tick mark, whatever you can do to keep track. Ranger beads are the best because it's a piece of paracord with literally beads, and you just move it down. You move one down, then you move another down. They're easy. You just Google them. You'll see Ranger beads.
Okay.
And, so I'm getting out there, and it was like 700 or 800 meters.
Now, how many people are on the course?
It's at night. Well, let me finish.
Okay. Sorry.
So that I get to my endpoint, and I'm like, not my endpoint. I land at, whatever it was, 700 meters, and I'm like, where's my point? It's not here. And I'm like, 30% rule, like push just a little bit further, right? Because I had been going over terrain. I'd gone around a few trees, and I pushed a little bit further and went just the same direction I was going, but now I'm like over what I think to be my pace count. And there it was, sure enough. It was probably another 60 meters. So about another 60 meters. And I found it. And I was like, man, I hope this is the right one. Like, I hope, because there'll be other points out there. And if you're far enough off, you'll
get the wrong point.
You might go to the wrong point, write down the wrong numbers on that point you found. And you're like, oh, I found it. But then they're like, well, yeah, that was a different point. And so you were off, and then you would miss that one.
Wow.
So when you get to that point, you have the choice. You either have to say, okay, do I want to use this point that I just found as my new starting point to launch off and find my next point? Or do I want to go back to my starting point, which they gave us those numbers. I know that's a starting point. And then try to find my point number 2 from the actual known starting point.
Oh, okay. But you're on a clock.
But you're on a time limit.
So it's like, you better hustle back to that first point if that's what you're going to do.
Which is what I did. I hustled back. Okay. But I mean, whatever, 700 meters is, you can do that in probably 7 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's dark. You don't want to trip and fall and hurt yourself. You might have to go to the bathroom. You have to stop and,
You got to take care of the necessities.
Yeah. And so me at that point, I was like, I think this is the point. I'm pretty sure, but because the starting point's back there, I'm going to go back to the starting point. I went back to the starting point, and then I went for my second point from the original starting point. And so then I found that one, and I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, I think this is the one. And then I was like, I'm going to go back to the starting point again and use the starting point to find my third point. And then I came back after my third point, and then I found my fourth point. I went from the starting point. I went out, then I went out, and then back to the starting point. Out, back to the starting point. Out, back to the starting point. Out, and then I used my point 4. I was like, okay, I think this is it.
You're pretty confident at that point.
And you only have to find 4 out of 6 to pass.
Oh.
And so at that point, I was like, I'm pretty sure I found 4. I'm going to start now. My fourth point is going to be now my new starting point to bounce off that one.
Interesting.
And find 5 and 6. And so there was one that, and then I found all 6. And so then,
so you 100%ed it.
100%. Yeah. Some people only found 4 and they barely, that's passing, but barely passing. And some people found 5 and, a number of people found 6. And so, and then on all the practice days, I found all the practice days, I found 6, except for one day I did miss that one. And it was the closest one. And I learned a lesson too. It was like 200 meters away from the starting point. But for whatever reason, I missed that point, and I just missed it. And I just gave up, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go find my second point. And I learned my lesson there.
What was the lesson?
Let's see, that one, it was like, what was it? It was, like, I want to say I did my calculations wrong on the map. And it was like, literally, I saw the point. I was like in a certain area, and I literally saw the correct point, like 70 meters away. Cause with your red headlamp, how they have the points marked is they're marked in a certain way with some sort of tape that it glows off the red light. Oh. So it's easier to see it at night, but you have to be so close to it, right? For the red light to glow off of it. And so I saw it and I was like, that's not my point. And I kept looking, and I burned an hour looking for my first point. And I was like, you know what?
And you had it the whole time.
It was right there. And I was just like, that's not it. That's not it. And then, that was it. I'm glad I get to say it on the podcast. They gave us the starting point. They gave us the grid coordinates for the starting point. And at the grid coordinates for that starting point is usually a post that you can start at. Like, it's physically a post
in the ground.
Yeah, it's like a wooden post. Sometimes it's metal. I don't know why they do that, because that'll throw off your compass, because the compasses are magnetic.
Yeah.
And so it'll throw it off. There was another post, and I used the other post as a starting point, and it wasn't the starting point. So I was using what I thought was the original starting point, and then shot a certain degrees off of that. But my original starting point was incorrect. So then it was really funny. I got back. So like later on in the day, I came back to that spot because we were practicing. We did it twice that day, and I came back and I was so mad, and I was like, oh, and I shot my point off that the original the correct starting point, and found it, and I was like, that was the point, and that was the point, and I was like, that's not the point, because I was landing in a different area with a different pace count because I was using the
wrong starting point.
I was in the wrong starting point. Which, if you're in the wrong starting point,
no matter
it throws
what you do,
everything
else is going to be off.
And so it was just at night, and I just and some other people that were doing it, they were starting at the wrong starting point too. And so lesson learned.
Make sure you're at the right
starting point.
Wow.
And so luckily I went back and found I found five of six that time. And so I learned my lesson there. But what's amazing too is that what was it? Even though I found my second point, and at the starting point, at the starting area where the correct starting point was and the incorrect point that I was using as my starting point, they were only like 15 meters apart.
Wow.
They weren't very far, but it can throw you off that much. And so I used the incorrect starting point to go out and find my second point.
Yeah.
And like, just at some point you get out in the middle of nowhere, and your pace count, you might hit your pace count, but you can also look at your map and terrain associate and say, oh, on this map, there's this big hill right here. I'm right next to this big hill. Oh, there's like a creek in this area. I can see that.
Here's the road.
Here's the road.
Yeah.
Roads are great to use at intersections. You're like, that's it. That's the road. Like, I know where I'm at. And so at that point, you can use your pace count. You can use your compass with the degrees, but you can also terrain associate. You're associating where you're at based on the terrain that you can see. At night, a lot harder.
Yeah.
In the day. So I found my second point based a lot on terrain association, which then I was like, okay, I think I've got this. And then I went around and found the rest of my points. But yeah,
that's cool.
That's my long-winded explanation of the 30% rule.
How freaking
and make sure that your starting point is correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So how many people are starting with you? Like, is there a dozen or?
Oh, there was your
whole class. They put you all out at once?
Yeah. So what they do is they have one. So this was kind of cool. They split the class in half. So there was 120 of us or 100.
Okay.
But you're divided up into 3 platoons. So there's about 30 to 40 people per platoon.
And then they like let you out in intervals?
No. So what they did is, so you have one big course. And so they say, okay, group A, they take, one whole platoon, and then they cut another platoon in half, and they say, okay, 20 of you are going with this platoon, and the other 15 and 20 of you are going with the other platoon. So you've got group A and group B. Let's just say that you've got group A and group B. Well, the course, they have like the south starting point and the north starting point.
Oh.
Group A will start at the south point. Group B will start at the north point. And then you're all kind of going to meet in the middle at some point if you run into them. But my starting point is now their end point, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And their starting point would be my end point.
Yeah. Wow. So like you're out there looking at your map, your compass, everything, and then like you're just running into randos.
Yeah, and you're not supposed to talk at all. Like you are not allowed to talk to anybody, because then if they see you, they're like, well, are they sharing information?
Uh-huh.
Are you comparing notes? And you can't do that. That is like an automatic fail, and like you're most likely getting kicked out. Even if you're just like, hey, how's it going? It's a good morning. And you're talking about the weather. They're like,
don't care.
You're talking. You're not allowed to talk. And so,
wow.
Anyway, so it was really fun. So yeah,
how freaking rad.
Yeah. So I got out there, and it's just really cool. And then you have your MRE, and then they're like, okay, you've got to get from here to this end point and find all your points in 4 hours. And essentially, like, you stop and eat whenever you want, eat breakfast or eat lunch, whatever it is. And you just,
You just go.
Then you go and
30% more, baby.
30% more. That might be the title of the.
I think so. I wrote it down.
The 30% more, the 30% rule. So it's just push a little bit further.
So I heard a story. I knew a guy when I was a kid growing up who was in the Army or the National Guard or something. He was talking about he was definitely in the military, but they did a cross training. This was like in the early 90s. They did this cross training with the Coast Guard.
Okay.
So they go out in these boats and they're supposed to learn how to navigate on the water, which is different, I guess, from land navigation.
Yeah.
And there was a group, I think there was like 6 boats, and they went out super early in the morning, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So it's pitch black. You can't see nothing. And they bring them out to a buoy out in the ocean. And they're like, okay, you can't see. They couldn't see the shore anymore. They didn't know. They're just water everywhere around them. And they're like, all right, find the land. And then this big Coast Guard ship hauls butt out. And within 3 waves, they can't see the ship anymore. So it comes up, you can see it, goes down, can't. Comes up, you can see it. And then the third one, it's gone. It just disappears. So they're out there rocking and rolling in the water, trying to keep an eye on this buoy. And then these 6 boats take off in different directions because they're all like, okay, it's this way, and then one guy's like, no, it's that way. So they all just take off, they scatter. And it was like a timed event too. And like hours. And I can't remember if he found it or not, but they were like, and the water's not super bad, but it's the swell. I think it was like 3 or 4 feet. So it was enough to like, you can't see anything when you're in the bottom of that swell.
Yeah.
But water. And then you come up and it's like, oh, there's another boat over there, and then it goes back down and nobody back up. Oh, hey, there's a different boat over that way. Anyway, long story short, they scatter to the 4 winds. Out of the 6 boats, only one of them found land. Like one guy was like miles and miles. One group was miles and miles off course, like headed to Hawaii,
Yeah.
And then some people, and it was a specific point they had to find on shore. It wasn't just like find land. You had to find a specific point. And I think only one of them did, but it was an interesting story. And then like at a certain time, the Coast Guard ship rounded everybody up. But like the one that was like going to Timbuktu or whatever, they were the furthest away, and it took the Coast Guard the longest to find. Yeah. It's funny how easy it is to lose your direction.
It is. I mean, it's. I feel for them. Like they probably weren't trying to lose their way.
No. Like especially when you have a stated goal in mind and you have a specific job to do. Like, okay, we're going to go to point here, right here on the map. It sounds not complicated, but when you add in the fact that it's dark, you're in the water, or you're in the middle of a dense forest, or the plains where there is no land marking, and you're just
the ocean.
Like,
none of that.
There's none of that. And to do that, and like sometimes you just got to keep going. But like if you're off course that bad, where like you're going to Timbuktu, like there ain't no help. No 30% more is going to help you on that. You're just 30% more off course.
Yeah. No, right. If you're just off course, you're off course.
Yeah.
But if you're like, okay,
I did my calculations right. I know the terrain. I got the idea of, I know this is the general direction.
Yeah. So know your starting point.
What a cool story, man. What a cool story.
30% rule.
It's interesting that you can't talk. I mean, it makes sense. But I could see that would be a tough one. If you're out there in the middle of the dark by yourself and you run across a guy, you're like, oh, I that temptation to be like, where you headed?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. How many points you got?
Where you going? Yeah. How many rocks you got in your pocket?
I would like, yeah, exactly. Like there's just no, like, no, I don't even like if people talk to me, like I just wouldn't even have said anything back. Like,
Yeah. But you had a stated goal. You want this. This is what you're going for. So,
yeah. So,
and I would imagine the rest of the group is the same way. Like, I'm sure there's always a few outliers, but like the goal's the same for everyone.
To find the points and pass.
You know, it's funny. My wife is entering her last year of school. And
congrats, Bright.
Yeah. She's doing finals right now this weekend. And she starts her, basically what is her internship Tuesday. And emotions are high. It's tense, you know. She's come too far to give up.
Yeah.
But she's also tired and she's stressed. Like I helped her do a project last night. She had to do like a mock session with somebody. And so I was her partner for it, you know? But like, it's intense, you know, and you're tired and you like the finish line is right there. It's probably that 30%, you know what I mean? And you got to keep going. Sitting in the mud, you're not getting anywhere.
No,
you know?
No.
I like that. That is cool. Is that guy a local guy or the ranger that told you the 30% more? Or is he?
No, I don't think so. I
Georgia?
don't know. He was at Fort Benning last year. I don't even know if he's still there, but I don't know if he was local or if he was just stationed there, whatever. But yeah, that was,
what a cool story.
Yeah.
So I know we're cutting it here. We got to get going, but, I definitely would like to talk to you some more about Ranger School.
Well, I didn't even go to Ranger School.
Well, I know, but you got to like the pre-selection.
Pre-Ranger.
Yeah. Still, dude, that's an event. That I would like to dig into that a little bit someday. But
it's called RTLI, Ranger Team Leader Initiative.
Okay.
So I went to that for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
4 weeks.
That was cool. I was super excited for you.
That's cool.
But
yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Well, let's we'll check mark that and circle back to future episode. We got to do that. Yeah, that brings me to another thing real quick. I've had a few people reach out that want to be guests on our show. That is awesome. I will get back to you if I have not done so already. If you are interested in being on our show, you got a topic you want to talk about, a school you're opening, a book you're writing, a movie you're making, a style of martial arts, something like that, reach out to us. We're more than willing to talk to you. Just don't be a turd. Anyway, we have a seminar coming up next month, 4 weeks away. Randall Davis is flying out from Colorado to our little town in Anderson, California, to teach 2 days of Wing Chun. It is going to be awesome. I'm super pumped. I'm even more pumped now that I know my bud Tyler is going to be there with us. We want you to be there too. You can get more information and tickets at theformlesspod.com. If you have questions, don't know how to navigate our website, anything like that, reach out to us on any of our social media pages. All can be found at The Formless Pod. You can also email us at theformlesspod@gmail.com. And friends, give it 30% more.